Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're a college student or a parent of one, you've got tuition covered, right? Books? Check. But what about all that stuff you're hauling to campus? We're talking thousands of dollars worth. Today we're going to break down why renter's insurance is something you absolutely cannot afford to overlook. Seriously, it's a huge deal.
Okay, let's just start with a really simple question. Think about everything you've packed. The laptop, your phone, the TV, your bike, all of it. Now, what happens if that stuff gets stolen or damaged in a fire? Who's going to pay for it? It's a super important question, and honestly, most families just don't even think to ask it.
And look, we're not talking about small change here. The stakes are way higher than you'd think. I mean, add it all up, your laptop, a gaming console, all those crazy expensive textbooks, your clothes, it easily hits $5,000, maybe even $10,000. That's a ton of value just sitting there in a dorm or an apartment with basically zero protection.
So you might be wondering, why is college so risky for my stuff? Well, it turns out it's pretty much the perfect storm of things that can go wrong.
Yeah, it's this really unique mix. First off, you've got all these high-value electronics packed in one place, a total magnet for theft. But it's so much more than that. Think about it. You're living with other people, so you're exposed to their mistakes. What if your roommate starts a kitchen fire, or a friend slips and gets hurt in your apartment? Suddenly, you could be held liable. And liable is just a fancy word for you could get sued. We're talking about a lawsuit that can mess with your family's finances, even your own future, before you even have a diploma.
Okay, this is probably the biggest, most expensive mistake people make. They just assume the university has them covered. But nope, the school's insurance, it only covers the building itself, the bricks, the windows. It does not cover your stuff. So if your laptop gets snatched from your dorm room, sorry, you're completely on your own.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. The rules for what's covered can totally change based on one simple thing: where you live. Your address, whether it's a dorm or an apartment, changes everything. So, if you're in a dorm, you might, and that's a big might, have some coverage under your parents' homeowners insurance. But the second you move off campus into an apartment or a Greek house, boom, that parental coverage is pretty much gone. You're now on your own, an independent tenant, and the responsibility is 100% on you.
For those of you in the dorms, there's this thing called the 10% rule. Basically, a lot of parents' policies will extend about 10% of their personal property coverage to you. So, hey, if your parents have 200 grand in coverage, you might get 20 grand. Sounds awesome, right? Well, hold on. There's a big but here. It comes with some serious strings attached.
And this leads me to probably the single most important piece of advice I can give you. You must call the insurance company. Don't just assume anything. You need to ask them, does this extension actually exist on our policy? What are the limits, especially for my electronics? And the big one, does this include liability protection? Seriously, do not assume you're covered. Just call.
Okay, so what does one of these renter's policies actually cover? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's protected.
So, the good news is your most important stuff is usually covered. Your electronics, protected from theft and fire. But, and this is important, you got to watch out for something called sublimits. The policy might only pay out, say, $2,500 for all your gadgets combined. Your bike is covered too, even if it gets stolen off campus. But again, check that limit. And yep, believe it or not, even those super expensive textbooks are covered. Pro tip here, keep your digital receipts for everything. It's the best way to prove how much they were worth.
Now, knowing what's not covered is just as important. And here's the big one. Your policy does not cover your roommate's stuff. Let me say that again, because it's huge. Every single person living in that apartment needs their own separate policy. Also, things like floods and earthquakes, usually not covered. You'd need a different policy for that. Same goes for really high-value stuff like fancy jewelry or collectibles.
All right, now for the part that's going to blow your mind. The price. I think pretty much everyone assumes this kind of protection costs a fortune, but for students, it's actually ridiculously cheap.
How cheap? We're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 to maybe $25 a month. That's it. For less than what you'd spend on a couple of pizzas, you're protecting thousands and thousands of dollars of your stuff.
I mean, let's just put that into perspective for a second. This isn't some huge bill you have to plan for. It's a tiny, manageable expense that buys you this giant financial safety net. It's peace of mind against theft, fires, and even getting sued.
And believe it or not, you can get that price even lower. A lot of insurance companies will give you a good student discount if you've got good grades, like a B average. And the best trick? If you have car insurance, bundle it with your renter's policy from the same company. That's usually where you find the biggest savings.
Okay, so you're ready to do this. How do you actually make it happen? Don't worry, it's super easy. It's just a simple 4-step plan you can knock out in no time at all.
Step 1, just take out your phone, walk around your room, and make a quick video of everything you own. It'll take you 2 minutes tops, and it's priceless if you ever have to make a claim. Step 2, get a couple of quotes online. Check with your parents' insurance company, but also look at some of the newer digital companies. Step 3, ask those questions we talked about the limits, the discounts. And finally, step 4, just buy the policy and save a digital copy to the cloud so you can't lose it.
And you know what the best part is? This isn't some big, annoying project that's going to take up your whole Saturday. You can do this whole thing, from the video tour of your room to having a policy in your hands, in under an hour. It's probably the single fastest, easiest, and smartest thing you can do to protect yourself financially while you're at school.
So, we'll just leave you with this one last thought. A college education is a massive investment, right? One of the biggest your family will probably ever make. So, doesn't it just make sense to protect everything that goes with it? Especially when it only costs about as much as a few cups of coffee a month?